Hey guys, good morning, greetings, red and black fans. This is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. What was I telling you? Pedro needed motivation. Pedro needed to have a little more confidence. And man, that was it. Just a conversation, an opportunity. And Leonardo Jardim talked about this. He's one of the best strikers in football right now. You'll follow the press conference here. I will, soon. I'll separate it here. I'll take out the reporters' questions. I'll just leave the moments with the coach's statements. I just wanted to start here with the question from our reporter, Gabriel Orfo, which was very interesting. About him playing with Arrascaeta and Pedro. He talks about Pedro too. But I wanted to start with this one, where he talks about Arrascaeta and Pedro playing together. He put an end to a series of doubts and skepticism that existed. A lot of people say, oh, you can't play Arrascaeta and Pedro together, but not only can they play together, they can play well, right? And very well. Arrascaeta played his best match in recent times, right? Taking part in goals, in chances, right? He even hit the post with that shot. Spectacular. Arrascaeta is spectacular. Now, it's important for us to bring this up here, too. That Leonardo Jardim, he ended up making a very interesting criticism. Paquetá is not a winger. Carrascal is not a winger. For those who were thinking that Paquetá and Carrascal would be wingers, he already destroyed that idea. He made it clear that Paquetá plays in the midfield, playing more to the right midfielder, but he's not a winger. He made it clear that Paquetá is not a winger, and he managed to find the position where Paquetá did really well. It's Paquetá's best game for Flamengo so far. So we're going to follow Coach Leonardo Jardim's press conference here. He gave a masterclass in the press conference, and we're going to follow it as well. I'll start here right away from the mixed zone. Pedro and Emerson Royal, who was outstanding in the game, both of them did really well in the match, praised and applauded. Right after just 1 week of work from Leonardo Jardim. So I'll leave the YouTube shopping products here for you to help Flamengo, help us, and get official products. And also remember that in the pinned comment, we have our sponsors. Now here's the mixed zone and the best moments from Coach Leonardo Jardim's press conference. Man, a lesson that has already changed everything completely. It's impressive.
On Monday at the karaoke event, I asked you about Leonardo Jardim's first training sessions, and you said that a good characteristic is he knew the players very well, and today you scored your first goal under his command. What can you say has changed in your game? Specifically, the instructions you received regarding Felipe's work, and now from Jardim?
Yeah, like I said, it's still the beginning of Leonardo Jardim's work, but he has made it very clear to us what he wants from the team in the games, and today was proof of that. We've been doing well defensively, playing good games, and offensively we've also been finding each other up front, the forwards, and that's been helping me too. A game with close interplay, playing more through the middle, finding me there too, finding Arrasca, and we're both participating well in the game. And without a doubt, I hope we keep going like this, evolving, growing, and game by game, trying to do what he asks, and that this will be a victorious era. So for us, it's...
Now you're getting more opportunities with Leonardo Jardim being a starter in 2 consecutive games. I wanted to know, with this gap open for a new number 9 in the Brazilian national team, do you think this system that Leonardo Jardim is thinking about and planning is for you? Do you think you can return to the national team and go to the World Cup?
Oh, no doubt. It's a dream that I have, right? It's also an expectation I have for the Brazilian national team, of course. Like I always say, I'll only get there if I'm doing well here at Flamengo, giving my all, giving my best every day, in every game. And I hope so I'll be there. But, like I said, I work for that, knowing about the competition that will always be there in the Brazilian national team. Great players, great forwards, all fighting for a spot at the World Cup. So I hope so I'll be there, and I'll work and fight for that as well.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm asking about the significance of this win for the championship and how you're adjusting to new coach Leonardo Jardim now in his second match. How important is the victory and the adaptation to Jardim?
The victory, as I always say, is very important to give us confidence. We just came from winning a title, and Jardim had only been with us for 4 days, if I'm not mistaken. We managed to win a title, and now we've secured a very important victory for our run in the competition. We know that we were going through a period of instability at the beginning of the year, and now you can see our team is on the rise. We've been improving throughout the Carioca Championship. We've grown a lot. Now, with today's game, it gives us confidence for the rest of the competition, and I believe we're on the right track. The coach has been putting his ideas into play, some things that we didn't work on much before, or something that he could add for us. We've embraced him, and we've been doing a good job so far.
Royal, like you said, there have been some changes, especially about having practice before the game like we had this morning. How does that end up influencing the match about this muscle activation?
No, I think it's important. Like I said, I spent a lot of time in Europe too, and we used to work like that. When the game was late, we would go to the field to do a warm-up. I don't have a problem with that. I believe no one had a problem with it. We handled that situation well. And I also think it's good so we don't spend the whole day in bed, because sometimes you can get to the game feeling a bit more tired.
Here in the middle, Gabriel Orfon, Paparazzo Rubro-Negro, Jardim. Last year, one of the main discussions about Flamengo's team was whether Arrascaeta and Pedro could play together. Because they weren't players whose main characteristic was speed, they didn't have that much intensity, if we can put it that way, and against Fluminense, you started with both of them together and today as well. How do you evaluate these two players playing together on your team, and if they can really keep playing together as you did at the start of your time at Flamengo? Thank you.
I think it's more than proven that they can play together. We had two highly competitive games, one against Fluminense, which was also a tough opponent because they press a lot and have a good attitude. Cruzeiro is also a team like that, and they showed competence. I have to preserve them in some situations so they don't have to play all the time, and that's where the other players in the squad need to step in. So we can create more solutions for these two positions. Arrasca is a player who has enormous talent. He has enormous talent, but I can't wear him out either. That's why there will be some games where he'll have to play less time, because we, Flamengo, need his quality as a captain and also as a player. I answered that the other day. Regarding Paquetá, he can play 3 positions within a team. He can play as a second defensive midfielder, he can play as a more offensive midfielder, and he can play as a right-sided midfielder. But we definitely have to prepare a scenario, because he's not a winger, he's a midfielder. And the scenario we prepared for today, if you noticed, was always a build-up from Eric, the center-back, on the right side. The winger would stretch to cover the flank, which was Royal, and he would appear between the lines, which is his game, right there in that space. And my job as a coach is also to provide the players with good positioning so they can make the most of their characteristics. Because Paquetá is not a winger. If you're going to play with a winger, it's better to play with Plata or with Carrascal. Or even Carrascal is not really a winger either. Or play with Leme or with Sableu. That's why we're always concerned about putting the players in their best positions to get the most out of them. Funny, because one of the first things they told me was that Paquetá on the right side doesn't work. He's already played 3 or 4 games and it doesn't work. They said, well, let's see. And I'm satisfied because I think he can work there, but there has to be a strategic organization. If he's the one receiving the ball on the wing and has to beat his man one-on-one, it won't work. But a more collective strategy can help there, can help inside, and it was the best game. But I still see him progressing because he still has much more to give. And I actually told him that I know the player, and I think the break he had was difficult for him physically. And he still needs more time because it's also going to be a full season for him. It's going to be a season of a year and a half.
Jardim here, Raiza Simplicio talked about the players' attitude, and really the players showed a lot of determination on the field, a lot of effort. But we also felt it in the second half specifically. A team that got tired, of course, and Flamengo didn't have a preseason as expected. I wanted to know your opinion. How do you see the team's physical condition right now, and do you think they're already at an important point for this stage of the season? Or do you still need to work on improving their physical condition, and how do you do that in the middle of such a complicated schedule with one game after another?
That's going to be a good question. I think football isn't just physical, it's a set of actions. That sometimes are physical, it depends a bit on the model we implement, and I want the players to grow within this model that I want to implement. Sometimes the players have to give a little more, and the wingers sometimes have to defend more, the midfielders have to press in marking. All of this is what I look for as a coach from my players in physical terms. Of course, we will always have to manage some players because we can't play every 3 days with the same ones. And certainly they also didn't have that preseason that usually happens, but Flamengo didn't have it either, and neither did the others. So we will try to manage those who don't play one game or another. We have to take advantage of the international break to try to increase a bit the level of those who are not called up. And then the big window, and we will have to take advantage of it to make some adjustments. At this level, I think there are some important things to value. First of all, the team managed another game without conceding any goals, and that was important. We started the game strongly, and we had a very strong first 15 or 20 minutes. Along with the goal, we hit the crossbar twice. But, of course, on the other side, there's also a good team, which last year achieved excellent results against Flamengo. This year, it's a different team, a team with much more possession, with many players crowded in the central area. That's why there were moments in the game when they had that possession. And we always know that a Flamengo-Cruzeiro, a Cruzeiro-Flamengo is a big game. I was taking a look at the statistics, and only in 2014 did we achieve a result with more than a 2-goal difference. So that also shows on the other side the rival who was there with the clear goal of also getting a good result. But I think we were more competent, and the victory is highly justified by the 2 goals, the 2 shots that hit the post, and some of the chances we created. But for sure, we still have a path to follow and improve some decisions that we can make better. We had some decisions with the ball. We can be a bit more careful, but I'm happy. I'm happy. The players have had a tremendous attitude. We made changes in addition to those who came in. They were important with an assist, with a goal, Leonardo Carrascal, and we keep going on our path, working every day. The conversation was very, very simple and direct with Pedro, one of the best strikers in Brazilian football. He has shown that over the years. For sure, there are 2 sides to the game, the side with the ball and the side without the ball. And for sure, he has shown that he can also be competent, besides scoring goals, also in strategic terms, positioning, pressing, having a more collaborative attitude. And that's what he has been doing, because he has that ability, he has that physical capacity, he has the understanding team play. And that's why, to me, his attitude is not surprising. Because I believed from the beginning that we could put Pedro in. Offensively, but also with the defensive role that all players have to have. It's not just about attacking and defending. Because nowadays in modern football, there isn't a single player in any team in the world who only attacks. We definitely do. Some players are still not at their best. Some because of injury, others because it's just the beginning, it's the initial moment. If every player had performed at their best, the results would have been different. There wouldn't have been a coaching change and everything would be fine for the players. We have to recover mentally in terms of work, in terms of attitude, but they have been very cooperative. Those who come in, those who play. Even today we changed 3 players at the start, others came in to help in that part. We wanted a bit more transition because Cruzeiro were leaving themselves exposed, and in 2 moves where we made a final transition, we ended up making it 2-0. And that's why I'm satisfied. And I say publicly what I say privately. For the group, because only a cohesive, competitive, and deep group is able to play in several competitions, and Cruzeiro has that. That's why everyone who plays has to have the coach's trust. For sure, not every game goes well, but the coach's trust is always there. He's a player who's important at Flamengo because of everything he's shown, and currently he still is. He's a player who understands the game well. I asked Eric to make 2 or 3 moves that he wasn't making. In strategic terms, within my strategy, I needed him to do it, but he was a player who understood easily. This shows that besides quality, he has above average intelligence, which allows him to quickly respond to something new with just 1 week of training. That's why I'm very satisfied with him. Araujo is a player who usually plays on the outside, who cuts inside slightly to join the interior play. A bit like Paquetá was doing, except that at that moment in the deep play, it ended up being the goal. Someone who, with his right foot, could make a diagonal move there and end up on his stronger foot, and that's what ended up happening. That's why the option was for Carrascal to stay a bit wider to make those diagonal runs, because Cruzeiro's 2 fullbacks were leaving themselves exposed and no longer had the ability to cover the space in behind. And that was the idea for the transition. And Araujo, being the intelligent player he is definitely not at his best yet because of everything he's been through. But we believe in him, and we believe that little by little things will happen. My priority is for Flamengo to play well and win. That's my priority. And regarding the game, these players definitely have a great ability to move the ball around, and we are trying little by little to include other variables. A player's life is usually not just one variable, they can have other variables within the game. Like pushing a bit more into the spaces when there are spaces, making some small diagonal runs. When your teammate brings the ball, to have some offensive dynamics, and little by little we are doing that. We were talking about Eric. Eric today carried the game forward into attack several times. At my request, not just to link up for the pass, but to break lines, as we usually say. He broke through some important lines so we could play further forward. And I personally like players who break lines, players who, when they have that space, after gaining the space, have the ability to make that move with the ball, breaking lines. Honestly, at this moment, Plata had a little knock on his knee during training. He wasn't 100%, and neither was Yang. Wallace is a young player, a player that everyone certainly knows. He was about to leave as well. He's not at his best right now, but we believe in him at this moment. And then we'll make an analysis, because football also requires constant analysis. This is not the moment for us to think about what's missing or not missing, because sometimes players grow, they evolve. Right now we have to make the most of the players we have here and try to get the best out of them. That's my goal. It's what you were saying to Pedro. Also for Wallace, Yang, for Everton, for all those who sometimes play less, but we know still have a lot of room to grow. To reinforce what I said in the last game when you asked that question, I definitely have very good friendships and good relationships there. These athletes here, many of whom played at Cruzeiro, we helped bring them to a level as they were a bit lost. And that's why I have a close relationship with many of these athletes. Before the game, the president was in my booth. We had a chat because you know the relationship I have with him, and it was good. But on the field, it's a different story. On the field, I am 200% Flamengo, and the goal is to be as competitive as possible. It's about trying to attack in the best way, defend against Cruzeiro in the best way as well, and win the game. After that part is over, of course, the relationships don't just disappear, just like the connection. At this last club, just like it happened at every club I've been to, I still keep in touch with the people who worked with me. I wasn't lying, and that's what I do. Did I watch all the games? I didn't, but actually I saw the first game against Liberdade. That's right. We had a kid who scored a goal from the wing, cutting inside and finishing right there. And I noticed that some players have a lot of potential. The right back and the center back were already players who were in the first team last year. The left winger was also a player I saw who had some growth afterwards, then stagnated, but now he's in a better phase again. And I'm sure they will have the care and protection of the staff, of the first team's coaching staff. It's not to create phenomena, right, but to guide them in the best way. Because here in Brazil, sometimes you score 2 goals and you're already considered a phenomenon. No, it's to guide them in the best way so that in the future, in the medium term, they can be part of this squad. I'll be more broad on this issue because I don't like to talk about what is a colleague's work and a colleague with Ancelotti's resume. But I think that all the players who play more at Flamengo will always be an option for the different national teams. Whether from Chile, Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, it depends on their nationalities. Because playing at Flamengo carries status, any of the players are very close to being called up. Those who are from Brazil, those who are from Argentina are from Argentina, those who are from Uruguay are from Uruguay, and so on. That's why I believe that playing at Flamengo and being an important player at Flamengo, there is a big opportunity for all the national teams. It's funny that people label me, and many of them label me without even knowing me. But what I always intend is to have a group where I am consistent with all those decisions, which is my way of working. Consistency for me, there are keywords in sports. Whether for us who works on consistency in a style of play, consistency in a type of work, consistency in the reasons why we do certain things. And this is what I try to develop with this team and with all my teams. And on the players' side, I've had an impeccable reception. They have embraced the idea, they have stayed focused, and that makes me extremely satisfied. When we work at a club and the players are buying into the idea, when all the staff, even the resident staff, are collaborating to the maximum of their potential, all I feel is satisfaction. And of course we want to keep it going because working well is an obligation, and that obligation leads us to get better results when we work well. Thank you, Jardim. Thank you all.